Welcome back to the ABL review. Here we are talking about the ABL Champions League. I have it on the wrong starting point here. That's embarrassing. Here we are, Pokemon Champions League, talking about Week 1 battles. Not typical. I'm able to record this on a Monday, so I'm excited to get this out. I just want to thank everyone for participating and being on top of this. We had such a fast draft, and we had everyone very timely in their week 1 battles. So that's very exciting, very encouraging. We can hop into the battles. Let's get to the replays. So first off, we've got my game versus Zeng. Zeng brought so little of the team I actually expected. I really expected Mega Meganium to be there. Who else did I expect? Let me pull it up here on the side. I knew Corviknight would be there 100%. I figured Mega Meganium. I figured there was a chance he could have brought like a rain thing, like Basculegion, maybe Politoed, but I thought that'd be kind of weird. But I mean, I definitely expected Meganium to be here, and it was not. This was pretty exciting for me because I knew the chip I needed to be able to kill these fast things on his team. But we can hop into the game. So. Start off with Palafin versus Corviknight. Now, I initially very quickly clicked flip turn here because I'm just like, oh, I'll take a little chip on Corviknight and get out of here. But this Pokemon, Hisuian Zoroark, really kind of problematic in terms of like trying to figure out what's what. So I figured I should play it very safe and go into Tyranitar here. And I could have been at a big disadvantage if this had actually been Corviknight and like he clicked U-turn or body press or something. But I got lucky in that sense and I called it right, and it was Hisuian Zoroark. Eat up that Bitter Malice pretty well, and actually turns out able to break the sash with Sandstorm damage right there. So big play for me turn 1. I got Palafin Hero mode activated and kind of ready to rock. It does pull out the Focus Blast, which I wasn't really expecting. I mean, I should have, I guess, but I thought like it's worth it to try to get up rocks because I know that if I get rocks damage on Weavile, I can kill it with Jet Punch. So I really want to have those rocks up. But then, I don't have a lot of other switches I can do here. Going to Toxicroak, figuring that would cover another Focus Blast or anything like that. I figured that was my safest bet there, or like at least most middle ground play, right? Sandstorm damage goes off. I do know, in fact, that this is the real Corviknight now since you turned from Corviknight into Corviknight. Gonna go into Rotom Fan, my dedicated switch into this, this sucks because there wasn't anything I could do to stop Corviknight from defogging. I don't really have any counterplay to that, so I would just have to try to get up rocks later, even though I knew that was unlikely. So just go for a Volt Switch here, and he goes for a Roost. Kind of calls the play here and goes and gets that Roost off. I'm actually Thunder Wave Hex, so I was really excited to toss a free Thunder Wave off, and unfortunately I missed the Thunder Wave on the incoming Weavile. That would have saved me a lot of trouble later in the game, as you'll see. I did consider trying to stay in and Thunder Waving again, because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm bulky enough with the defense boost. But I miscalced, so anybody who imports their teams into the draft, look out for that, because if you pick your pre-mega ability, when you import it into the calculator from like the draft thing, it will give your mega the pre-mega ability. So just keep an eye out for that, because this had those Cursed Body Frostlass when I moved it over, so it didn't have the snow in the calc. So that did mess me up a little bit. Keep an eye out for that. So misses the Thunder Wave, pretty unfortunate. I just kind of have to sack Tyranitar here. Knocks off my Pasho Berry. Like I said, I kind of thought there might be a rain aspect to his team, so I went with Pasho Berry on T-Tar there. He's able to clean up with a Triple Axle. Kind of risky. If he missed that Triple Axle, I can kind of come back and do some big damage to this guy. Toxicroak comes in, and I felt really good about this because I'm just like, okay, I don't have anything that can outspeed this. It's not yet in range to be Jet Punch KO'd. Obviously, I could go and outspeed it with Excadrill, but he's just going to go into Corviknight, and I really want to be able to get rid of this Weavile, or at least weaken it. So what I did do is, because I'm like, okay, just in case he predicts the Scarf here, I'm going to go for knockoff. Either I get the chip I need, or I catch the incoming Hisuian Zoroark, or potentially Alakazam. Or heck, I'll even take even take the leftovers off Corviknight, and I'm happy with that. But you can see the text here at the bottom. The opposing Weavile can act faster than normal because of its Quick Claw. Ugh. Quick Claw was recently, I guess not recently, probably a week and a half ago, banned from NatDex OU. And I was like, should we expand to include that? Because it is like a luck-based thing, but there's very few items. So might as well allow like most of everything that's there. Because Quick Claw's not super good, but it is super random. So it kind of can sometimes be a little, at least in my opinion, unfun. And this reinforced my opinion here. As his Quick Claw goes off to outspeed my Scarf Toxicroak and hit me with Psycho Cut. So that hurt. At this point, I think I'm done. I know it's still not in range. I can try to scare it out with Excadrill, which is what I think I do. Yeah, like, I know the Corviknight's coming in, because that's what it's going to be. I'm just going to go for Iron Head here. I don't want to risk, if he decides to leave it in or whatever, I don't want to risk killing the Weavile. No damage on Corviknight. And I'm at a disadvantage here. I'm already down 2 Pokemon. Body Press is going to come in. Obviously, my Excadrill couldn't stay in there. Gonna go ahead and drop a Thunderbolt on the incoming Hisuian Zoroark. And at this point, I don't think Excadrill is going to do me any good. The sand is gone, so I can't outspeed anything, and I can't kill the one thing I can't outspeed, so Excadrill's gone. I'm down 6-3 pretty early in this battle. The only thing I have going for me is Weavile is nearly in range, and then I think I can still clean with Palafin later in the game. Now Mega Frostlass comes in. I know I can outspeed this. So I'm just going to go for a Blizzard, pick it off. He's got no Ice Resist. The only Ice Resist on the team is Weavile. If that comes in, it takes the damage I need. And at this point, I'm looking at the calc, and my calc... Here, I guess I can pull it up here. Weavile versus Frostlass. Mine said... The knockoff did 96 to 115, which is an 81.3% chance to KO, but that's because it didn't put up the snow. So I'm just like, you know, I just need to go for it. I need to hope that I get that roll in my favor, and that's what I'm going for. Didn't realize that I was going to be able to live the knockoff. Honestly, all things considered, pretty comfortably. So I'll take that, and I go for a Thunderbolt, gets the damage I need on Weavile. At this point, I'm feeling so much better. I didn't even realize the Quick Claw went off a second time. Not that it mattered. But now I know these 4 Pokemon across the top here and down the middle, these four are all in Jet Punch range already, and Corviknight is 2-hit KO'd. So, that's good news for me. Jet Punch picks off the Weavile. That's 1. And Cleavor is going to come in, which was crazy to me. I thought maybe Pasho Berry, maybe, what's it called? Focus Sash goes down. Excited about that. Corviknight comes in. I'm just going to flip turn out, get my chip. I still have my Corviknight check here. Able to eat up that Brave Bird. And at this point, nothing resists anything, so I'm just going to go for another Thunderbolt. And I'm excited to be able to hit the Zam, because that breaks a potential Alakazam Focus Sash. I can eat up that, get the Alakazam down a little bit lower. At this point, I was kind of hoping that was going to KO, but I wasn't comfortable yet on the focus, or on the what's the word? On like, I thought Thunderbolt may KO or it might not, but for some reason I didn't want to Volt Switch. I don't remember why. But Palafin's able to come back in. I'm able to take the Psychic. And then Jet Punch is going to pick it off from there. Found out after the game that he's focus banned Alakazam. So there was a 10% chance that he could have lived that Jet Punch from 3%, which I would have been furious about. Beedrill comes in. Beedrill's clean KO'd. No problems there. And then Corviknight's going to come in. I considered trying to flip turn and save this and everything, try to get all the KOs with Palafin here. But didn't seem worth it. I'm just going to go ahead and let that go down, and the fan's going to come in and clean up. So GG to Zheng. Crazy game for me to open up this season. Really good game by Zheng. He's somebody who's not afraid to run things that are a little off kilter, and that makes planning for him difficult. Hope I don't have to face him again. Moving on, we've got our next game, which is going to be Ishii versus Zane. This was another really exciting game. I guess we'll hop into it because this didn't go. This was kind of all over the place. So, hopping in, we got Quaquaval versus Garchomp lead. Garchomp's going to get up the rocks. Quaquaval's got Aqua Step. I think good call. I think obviously Rapid Spin's kind of Stealth Rock's kind of an obvious thing there. So going for the Aqua Step is good to get off a good chunk of damage, outspeed. You can Rapid Spin the next turn, which I do think we see him do, which I think good call. You're going to take obviously the Rough Skin and everything. It does pop the Citrus Berry, so you lose a little bit more progress than you otherwise would have. Dragon Tail gets a crit, does a lot of damage. I think so that would have done, what, around 35-ish? No, more than that. Maybe around 40-ish? No, maybe a little more. Let's say 43% is what it would have done. We're just going to kind of keep an eye on that because I don't remember. It kind of matters because this means this duck here would have been at, let's call it 23%. Let's remember that. Sylveon's going to come out. Not the Mon Zane wanted to see come out. And we're going to go into the Skeledirge here. Draining Kiss, minimal damage. And then Shadow Ball is going to come out and do a good amount of damage. So this is obviously, I think this probably is at least running some speed. Because I think it outspeeds much. This is a very offensive Sylveon, it would seem. Torch Song goes off, does a good chunk of damage, but at this point he's got to switch out. He's too low. Chestnut's going to come in on the predicted Shadow Ball. Really good play there, but the problem is you don't have a follow-up, and you're going to have to eat another Hyper Voice. Chestnut goes down clean. Mega Chestnut, excited to see it here. Hasn't had anything going for it so far, so that's unfortunate to see it go down so quickly. King Gambit's going to come in, try to scare this out. Hyper Voice is going to do a good amount of damage. Does not actually scare it out, but now we're at +2 with one fallen, and I'm guessing Black Glasses. Based on the massive amount of damage this does, 65 to a Sylveon, which is bulky. And the Sucker Punch is going to almost KO it, but not get quite enough. King Gambit's going to go down. Sylveon's taken down 2.5 Mons here early in the game, giving Ishii an early lead. Hisuian Samurai's going to come out. And I like the play here to go Quaquaval. Now keep in mind that because of the Dragon Tail crit, this thing would have been at about 23%. Doesn't matter for this point because the Ceaseless Edge actually misses. If this was when I was watching this live, I was thinking like, oh, he can follow this up with a close combat to scare this out. This Hisuian Samurai reveals itself to be Choice Scarfed. Now, obviously the crit mixed in there and everything. You know what? I guess since I have the calc, we have the technology. We can check and see if that crit crit Dragon Tail would have mattered. We'll just assume like no goofy EVs or anything. Ceaseless Edge, never mind, didn't matter. Because it does 27 min. So that's something I just wanted to revisit while I was here. So it does get the crit, not that this one matters, but it would have KO'd anyways. And gets up the spike. Now this is where I think Ishii makes some, like that's an important thing that I think Ishii doesn't take advantage of here. Torkoal comes out, which I think is good because it's kind of bluffing, hey, I have Rapid Spin on this too. Which obviously forces the Skeledirge in. The Stealth Rocks are going to go up. So I think that's a good play there. Manages to get those up. It's just going to give him a little bit of help going forward. Just a little bit of chip here and there. Umbreon's going to come in and the Skeledirge is going to slack off. I don't know what Ishii's full set on Torkoal was. I wish he had something that could apply pressure to the Skeledirge a little bit, whether it be Yawn to force it out, or Earthquake or Earth Power or something, because I feel like he loses a lot of momentum going into Umbreon here. Torch Song's going to go off, do a pretty big amount of damage because it's boosted by the sun. Toxic comes up. Usually pretty good with Umbreon, but it's not really in a situation where it can afford to kind of play the slow game here because Skeledirge can really start to snowball, right? So we're going to go for the Protect, let a little bit more toxic damage rack up, get a little bit more HP back. I think that puts it out of range of the next... Oh, well, we don't know if it puts it out of range of the next one. So this is the first opportunity that I think Ishii should have sacked the Sylveon. He can't Rapid Spin because obviously Skeledirge can block anything that Torkoal is going to go for if it does in fact have Rapid Spin. So this Sylveon is essentially dead. If he'd gone into Sylveon here, it immediately dies, and it also blocks this Torch Song, so it can't get that boost. And then you can bring in a Pokemon for free. That's what I would have liked to see Ishii do. Because the Citrus Berry, all it does is give another round of... Like, it does give, like, the Toxic round. It gives it... Because he got the... Since he went into Torkoal, saved him a turn, got a little bit more Toxic to rack up. But since he just goes into Delphox and like goes for the Psychic right here, didn't really matter. Because if that were the situation, if he'd done the play as I recommended it, he'd still have Torkoal at... Oh, geez. Oh, I didn't want to go that far back. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Yeah. He still would have had Torkoal at 87%. Well, it's 75% coming in on the spike. Because, yeah, he could have sacked the Sylveon on that turn, gone into Delphox, picked up the Psychic KO, as he does in real life, and then he's in this same position, except instead of a 2% Sylveon, he has an 87% Torkoal. That I don't know if that matters coming down the stretch here, but it definitely doesn't hurt, right? So Hisuian Samurot's going to come in. It's already showed that it's Scarf. This is an opportunity that maybe you could go into Torkoal and at least get up the Sun to weaken this Aqua Cutter. It also would have been a nice spot to switch into Sylveon to sack it there. Blastoise is going to come in. Now, I really racked my brain about this because I'm like, did Zane misplay this? Did Ishii play this? Or did, what happened? I think this was... I don't think Zane knew the calcs here. Because it just looks like this is... Nothing surprising happened here, it turns out. So we get the Shell Smash. I think maybe that was... that was maybe thinking that since the Protect failed, Ishii would get greedy and go for another Protect, get some more lefties. That's the first thing I thought of. Wish goes up. Now, based on my calcs, at this range, Surf can KO this Umbreon. But obviously with the Wish in the air and no Protect burned, obviously the Protect comes out here. Zane does a great play and goes for Shell Smash. Here's the problem. Based on my calcs, you're able to determine based on the Torch Song damage that came in on Umbreon that this is not a Spadef Umbreon. This is just a max HP Umbreon. It's max HP, max defense as far as I could tell. If that's wrong, sorry. That's just what my calcs are telling me. So just max HP Umbreon is not KO'd by +4 Surf. So it lives this, and because of the nature of Shell Smash, clean KO'd by Foul Play in response. Awesome job here, but at this point, things are looking really dire for the rest of Ishii's team. He is going to go for the Protect, see what he locks himself into. Again, shouldn't have gone into Kangaskhan here. Could have sacked Sylveon and then gone into Kangaskhan, and it'll save you 57% HP on Kangaskhan. I hate to keep harping on that, but it's really important. If you are going to save something as a sack, you need to use it, because we'll see what happens here. Garchomp's going to go ahead and come in. I like the idea of going for Fake Out Last Resort. I think that's a cool set. And obviously it did pretty good damage, especially once the Ghost and the Steals were gone. But at this point, everything's too weak. Hisuian Samurot's going to come in and just be able to clean up with Aqua Cutter. We're going to see that go down. Umbreon is going to, I think, Protect and try to get some back. But Aqua Cutter, if I recall correctly, has perfect accuracy. So it's just going to go ahead and clean everything up. Grabs the Fox, and Sylveon comes in on a spike to die. So we end up with a late game Samurott clutching out 4 KOs at the end there. I think it got, did it get all 5? No, it got 5 out of 6. So second game in a row, we have a physical water type getting a bunch of KOs towards the end of the game. We'll see if that becomes a trend. But now we're going to move on to our marquee match of the week.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
Here we are with Dakota taking on Mike. This personally was my most anticipated matchup just because of the big man on the left here, Mega Starmie coming in. I think everyone was excited to see this Pokemon come out. And, you know, here we go. Let's hop in. We got, okay, I got to slow this down a little bit. We got Tinkaton lead versus Reuniclus. Obviously not what Dakota wanted. Going to see a fake out come in on the Charizard. Charizard's going to scare out the Tinkerbell here. And in comes Snorlax. Snorlax is going to take minimal damage from that and just recover up a little bit for the leftovers. Body Slam's going to come out on the Rotom Wash. Serena's going to come in and dodge a Will-O-Wisp. That sucks. It's Serena. Oh, by the way, love the nickname. Serena puts a lot of pressure on this team, on Rotom Wash in particular. So it's really unfortunate that he missed that Will-O-Wisp, but you know, these things happen. Hard switch out into Fortress. Power Whip's gonna come out, not do a lot, but you know, still would have been nice to have taken a little less damage from that if the burn was going. Stealth Rock comes up, a Chandelure comes in. And this is where it becomes immediately apparent that Dakota does not have good answers to Chandelure. He's going to go into Mega Charizard X, which is going to take a shit ton of damage. At this point, Dakota's just hoping this thing isn't Scarf, so that way he can get off some revenge damage. But in fact, this is Scarf Chandelure going to take out the Charizard X, neutralizing a big threat from this game. I don't think Mega Charizard X had a huge matchup in this game. Like, if it got up a DD, kills Shandy, kills, I mean, it kills a lot, I guess, if it gets up a DD. But there's not a lot it can Dragon Dance in front of, so that is a problem. Meowscarada is going to come out, obviously be able to take the Shadow Ball really well. He's actually going to just go for a knockoff, get rid of the black glasses on Tinkaton. That's pretty interesting. There must have been an important calc there. Also, I guess there's just not a lot of items in the game, right? So, able to come out with Fortress, able to eat up these hits, really good. Earthquake almost gets the KO on Tinkaton. Unfortunate that that only does 57, because, you know, if it had been able to pick up that KO there, that's super big. It's another physical attacker out of the way. But it only costs him another 15% damage. But not the end of the world, but obviously you'd like more on there. This is going to be a pretty free spin for Serena. Body Press is going to come out and do a little chunk of damage. Another U-turn, still chipping away at this Fortress. Chandelure is going to come out as the rocks go right back up. And Dakota's got to sack another Pokemon of the Shadow Ball. So he's down 5-4 right now. And he's just got to, he's in the cycle now. This we saw this happen a couple turns ago where he got a Shadow Ball KO, and we're going to see Meowscarada come back in. Good news for Dakota is that the easy Meowscarada answer is out of the game. So now you have to go into things that don't answer Meowscarada quite as hard. So, and that's going to be the Glimmora. And normally you'd think, oh shit, Glimmora is just going to be able to put up Toxic Spikes and now the team's messed up. Not really. We got Magic Guard on Reuniclus, don't care. Steel type, Aegislash, Levitate. The only Pokemon that's going to have to come in and soak up these, and like actually deal with these spikes, is Meowscarada, and you don't need a ton of HP on Meowscarada. So, the best case scenario right now. So, going to go for knockoff, do a big chunk of damage. I believe he U-turns out on the next turn. As the Rotom Wash is going to come in and actually eat the Mortal Spin. So, obviously very important to Mike. He had double clearing on this team, able to get the poison off on Rotom Wash and get rid of the rocks. I think that's pretty big. Power Gem's going to come out, not be able to KO. Volt Switch out does get the KO. I wasn't sure that was gonna. Reuniclus is going to come in, also take the Toxic Poison. Chandelure's going to come in, big damage on it, but holds on by the sash as the Trick Room goes up. Obviously, this is going to have scare out Chandelure. Dakota makes a really nice play and goes for the Psy Shock, so that way he's able to guarantee some damage on the Snorlax. And then also, comes in on the Body Slam with the Aegislash. Good play there. And then he's going to take the Earthquake, and then follow up with a close combat. Not quite do enough damage, which is unfortunate. But Dakota makes another really good read here. He goes into the Rotom Wash to stay above the spike here. Now, you see that, stay above the top, or stay above the Earthquake. Just as Trick Room ends. Also, Pokemon rounding really got Dakota's back. Really has got Dakota's back here because he take 12% from 12.125%, I think. Dakota was just above that threshold, hanging on at 1%. Honestly, probably 1 HP. And is able to follow up with a Pain Split and get enough back to avoid the toxic to the poison racking up as the rest goes off. Now everything on Dakota's, not everything. The Serena's not very high on HP, but everything else is pretty much at max HP. Dakota's able to follow up with the Pain Split, do 47% to Snorlax, and get himself back pretty healthy in the meantime. Sleep Talk gets unlucky on the Sleep Talk pulls. Dakota gets really lucky on a crit here. Does put this in range of a non-crit Hydro Pump. Does eat a Body Slam on the follow-up there. Maybe it's not in range of a non-crit, but Dakota goes for the Volt Switch here. Tries to get a little lucky as it comes in Aegislash on the rest. Or actually, could have just predicted that, so well done there. Follows up with Swords Dance. Now, 1 in 3 shot that this thing pulls an Earthquake. Anything else, a 2 out of 3 chance this Aegislash is going to be able to get a free Swords Dance here and then really pressure this team. Does pull the Earthquake, puts it down quite a bit, but able to follow up with close combat. Awesome news for Dakota. Snorlax is out of the game. Chandelure is going to come in. Dakota has played really well to get back in this good position. Played really well, got some good luck. That's what you need to hope for. Mike messes up here. I would say Mike made some plays I don't really love throughout the course of the game, just from a strategic standpoint, which we'll talk about in a second. But going into Chandelure is a bad play here. Because I know you haven't seen Shadow Sneak, but I don't like this play because Serena, granted I don't know what its last move was, Serena can't be hit by Shadow Sneak, so he should have gone into that. We'll also talk about Starmie here in a second. So gets Shadow Sneak KO'd, biggest threat to Dakota's team out of the game. Serena comes in, he obviously can't go for Shadow Sneak. Power Whip is going to be able to KO. Should have done that last turn, you still would have had Chandelure available. And looking at what's left, that could have been all you needed. So U-turn comes out from Meowscarada, able to pick up the KO. Now it's 1 versus 3. This is Starmie's first time hitting the field. So that's kind of a problem. I think with the Pokemon like Starmie, you should be applying pressure a lot the same way you did with Chandelure. Like Dakota's team, I'll tell you, I did the calcs ahead of time. If he was like, he could have been 3 water moves and Zen Headbutt, and it would have been able to 2-hit KO everything on the team. That true? Hold on, let me think. I mean, he could have been Thunderbolt, Liquidation, Aqua Jet, Zen Headbutt. I mean, he could have just been Surf, honestly, and this whole team gets 2-hit KO'd. Could have been using this a lot more pressuringly. And we actually see he forgets to Mega Evolve here and goes for Aqua Jet. That is, again, another reason you should have just gone when the Snorlax went down, should have gone into Starmie and Mega Evolved and clicked Aqua Jet, because it also covers the Shadow Sneak play. So you could have already done that. And now Meowscarada comes in, is going to be able to outspeed with the Sucker Punch. Dakota does go for, Mike goes for the Ice Spinner, isn't going to do enough. Good prediction to go for Ice Spinner there. Hoping that you can, but ends up not working out. Call with the Ice Spinner. and Sucker Punch is able to clean. So Dakota brought the right sets, played really well, got a little bit of luck. I think that Mike needs to look at how he might. I mean, really, just the Starmie. I think Starmie is going to be something he's got to learn how to use better, because I think there was a path for him here, and I don't think he handled it well. But I also don't want to take anything away from Dakota, who I think played really well this game. That's all we have there. Let's take a look at the schedule for next week. Next week we've got Zhang taking on Dakota. Let's see if Zhang can keep that momentum going. Mike versus Zane, both of them, and look. Actually, no, never mind. We have all the teams that won going against all the teams that lost. So and then Ishii's gonna have to deal with another physical water type in Palafin on my team. And I think that's really all I want to go over. Remember to get your ad drops in if you're listening to this. I'm going to put out the call for that. But I think that kind of covers everything. Thank you all for a successful week 1, and see you next time. Goodbye.